Do you want to learn how to build in Minecraft? Well, you came to the right place. That was the cheesiest intro ever, and my name is Happy Pumpkin and I will be your teacher today. So what we have here is the outline of a building. It's blank. And the reason for that is because today is your first lesson in texturing. And what we're going to be starting with is gradients. So I have 4 blocks here, and these are stone types. The reason they are stone types is because stone types are famously incredibly easy for shading and texturing and gradients, and that's why we're starting with that. So there are a few ways you can go about this. One way is from the bottom to the top. Make a nice gradient. What this does is it draws the eyes upwards. So if you have maybe an interesting roof shape, you want people to look up. So you use a gradient like this. What we have here is a gradient from the bottom to the top. Now there's a bit of some harsh lines here and here. This is a bit of a smoother transition. And that's actually interesting because Minecraft has a ton of blocks, so many blocks, in so many different colors, so you can definitely find blocks between this and between this. But I wanted to show that when texturing, you gotta think about distance, because this transition may seem harsh at this distance, and this transition may seem smooth enough. But if you move very, very far away, suddenly that transition at the top there, just for you to zoom in, that transition there at the top is a lot lighter, and that transition there is also a lot lighter. So at greater distances, you might want to have bigger contrasts in your texturing, otherwise it might go unnoticed, and that would be a shame because then your wall will look bland. So for the second method of texturing, which will be shading, I've added a few things to the build. The first here is a window, which sticks out a bit, and the second here is a lantern. Now you're going to have to forgive, these are quite simple shapes, but that's not what this lesson is about. This lesson is about texturing, so that's what we're going to do. So first things first, when you're making a build like this, you're not necessarily thinking about darker at the bottom, lighter at the top. What you're thinking about is where would there naturally be lighter and darker spots on the build. For example, it might be a bit darker here under the roof, because there's an overhang there now. Even if there isn't, you can still do this to make it seem like there's a bit of an overhang. It just won't be as big of an overhang, but let's be honest, this, right, in real life terms, this would be a whole meter of overhang, which isn't realistic at all. And if you want your builds to be realistic, you might want to leave that out and instead use the shading option to make it seem like there's a slight overhang. Next, this window also has a bit of an overhang, and so it might be a bit darker under here. And that might just look a little something like this. Now we're going to be looking at the light source. So far we've only made stuff darker, as you can see. But with a light source, you want to make stuff lighter, right? So this light source here would be illuminating this part of the wall behind it. So that might then look a little something like this. And suddenly the originally blank wall already looks a lot more lively. It's just a bit empty at the bottom here. What you can do for that, speaking of realism in your builds, is add a bit of a foundation. You can do this by building your entire build different, or you can do this very easily by just adding a very dark color at the bottom that makes it seem like there's a foundation. Because people associate darker colors with stronger functions. So if you want to do a foundation, it should usually be darker than the rest of your build. So the third and final method of texturing we're going to call greenery. And for greenery, we've actually got a bit of a different block palette. You see the tuff has gone because we're using moss, which can very nicely be transitioned into mossy cobble to get to cobble. So for this type of texturing, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a few splotches or patches or blobs of moss. And I think for now 3 is just fine. So next, now that you've done this, you're going to be blending it. And you can do that, right, with the mossy cobble. So now you can see to blend these patches of moss that we've made there, and there, we use the mossy cobble, which transitions very nicely into the cobblestone and sort of binds this and this together. So to recap what you've learned in this video, we started out with a fully blank wall and we've textured in 3 different ways. We have greenery, or patches if you will, we have shading, and we have a gradient from the bottom to the top. These each work in different ways, they show different things and they have different functions. Feel free to combine them, experiment, mostly have fun, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.